Today we're going to talk about colors of light. Okay, so if you can see a laser, when can you see it? Correct answer is D. Okay, you can see it right here. If I shone it into your eyes, you'd see it. Wouldn't be healthy, but you can see it. Okay, so in order to see something, the object needs to either be a source of light, sun, light bulb, okay, something illuminate like a lightning bug, or light needs to be reflecting off of that object into your eyes. The reason you can see me is because light's coming from the light bulbs, reflecting off of me into your eyes. That's how you're able to see something. If you've ever been in a cave, they've turned out all the lights. I tell you to look at your hand, not at your screens, but at your hand. Some of you got that hint. Some of you did not get that hint. That you won't, even if you adjusted for 5 minutes, you still will not see your hand. You could feel the warmth of your hand, but you won't ever be able to see it because there's no light down there to reflect off your hand. Not unless, like, ooh, you guys know who E.T. is? Okay. Just, okay. So think about, okay, so the sun, obviously you can see that, but the moon, the reason you can see the moon is it reflects the sunlight. Why does space look black? Dark. There's nothing to reflect. Good with that? Okay. Put something out there, it'll reflect that sunlight. Okay. So your eyes, the anatomy of your eyes, light goes through your pupil, through your lens, back of the eye is called the retina, and that's where your light sensors are, cones and rods. Okay. The rods pick up different light intensities. Your cones are responsible for registering color, perceiving color. Okay. If your cones didn't work, you'd see the world in black and white. Okay. We'll talk about colorblind here momentarily. Okay. So you have 3 types of cones: blue, red, and green. Here's how they're arranged in the back of your eye. You've got your cones centered and your rods mostly around the peripheral. When you look at something, you can identify colors really easily. Looking at using your peripheral view, you have a hard time identifying colors. Now, if you know what the color is previously and then you use your peripheral view, your brain kind of cheats. Like, yeah, I know it's orange. Yep. Look at his shirt. It is so stinking orange. It is definitely orange. Okay. But if you were flash colors up and you wouldn't know what they are, you'd have a hard time identifying them. Okay. However, you can use your peripheral view to find small amounts of light. If you ever go stargazing, it's helpful to use your peripheral view to find a really dim star, not looking right at it. You'll be able to see it better with your peripheral view because your rods are on the outside. Good with that? Okay. All right, so the primary colors of light are not red, yellow, and blue. They are red, green, and blue. Okay? So this corresponds to your rods and your eyes. Okay, red, green, blue rods. So seen colorblind tests. See if you can read those numbers. Got to pass. Just okay. So if you are, this is just a normal spectrum. Okay. If you're red-green colorblind, this is how this would look. Okay. In color blindness, this is more common. If you're blue cone deficient, this is how this would look. This is rare. I have a friend whose son is really colorblind. They painted the house yellow so they'd be able to see, like, hey, that's my house. Everything else looks kind of gray and blue. But yellow, that's my house. Okay. Um, this is a red-green colorblind test. So if this side looks identical to this side, you've just diagnosed yourself. Okay, if this side looks the same as that side, if there's a distinction, if there's a difference between this side and that side, then you're not. Good with that? Now, I think there's a spectrum of color blindness. You can be slightly colorblind or like really colorblind. Does that make sense? Um, so, yeah. All right. Primary colors of light. All righty. Red and blue make magenta. Red and blue make magenta. Okay. Blue and green make cyan. It's like a light blue. Okay. Um, spelled C, like it's Ryan with a C. Okay, cyan. This is a crazy one. Red and green make yellow. Think of a stoplight. Okay. And all three of those together make white. Cool with that? So, color wheel of light. So, what I want you to do is I want you to stare intently at that white dot. Now look over here and blink rapidly. What color are those squares? Okay. Here's how this works. When you're looking at this, your red cones are firing. Red, 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 red. After a while, they get tired. They get run out of like your chemical signaling. So I'm biology here. Okay. I'm like red, red. And then you look over here, the white screen fires all three, red, blue, and green. Does that make sense? Your blue and your green are fresh, like blue, green, and your red's like red, blue, green, red. And so what you see is blue and green, cyan. Okay, over here, green, 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 red, blue, green, red, blue, green. And so you see magenta. Curtis.
So how come like the whole white screen and like all the white screen doesn't do that? And like, is it just enough? Like, how come it's just in that focus spot? Like, why isn't all the white turn blue once we look at the red blue?
Because your part of your vision. You know how you see a really bright spot, and you've got that bruise, like that blue spot in your vision, and it's that shape of that object that like was really bright. Same idea. That shape is carried. Okay. I bet you know what this is going to look like, but see if you can figure out while you do the trick why it's going to look like that. Did it work? Okay. What what rods are firing here? Blue and green. And so the red's fresh. Here, red and green are firing. Your blue's fresh. Good? Okay. Let's see here. I want to turn that off. That off. That off. All right. When's the last time you guys seen one of these? How many people have never seen one of these before? Overhead projectors. These are like back in the day, those were as prolific as just normal projectors. That's what I grew up with. Good times. All right. So we're going to say white light. It kind of has a yellow tint to it, but it's white light. Okay. If I have red filter paper here, what that's doing is allowing red light to get through, but filtering out, blocking out blue and green. You okay with that? If I have yellow, that's allowing yellow light to get through, but I'm going to ask you to think about the primary colors. It's allowing red and green to get through, blocking out, filtering out blue. Does that make sense? Hang on to that thought. Okay, so What happens if we mix filters? What gets through is what they both have in common, what they both allow to pass through. The red allows red to get through, the yellow allows green and red to get through. Both allow red to get through, so you see red. Good with that? Okay, so red and magenta. What do they both allow to get through? They both allow red to get through, and you see red. What would happen if we had red and green? What do they both allow to pass through? Nothing. Okay. This is the difference. Here are spotlights. We had two different sources of light. Adding those together, and we had red light plus green light gives you yellow light. Here, we're filtering out. We're subtracting colors. These were adding colors. Okay. This filters out blue and green and allows red to get through. This filters out green. Sorry. This filters out red and blue and allows green to get through. What are they both allowed to get through? Nothing. So black. That makes sense? How are we doing? Do you see the difference between filters and sources of light? Okay. What happens if we had red and cyan? Well, they both allow to get through. And both allow nothing. Does that make sense? The cyan allows blue and green to get through, filters out red. The red allows red to get through, it filters out blue and green. Okay. What would happen if I took yellow and cyan? What do they both allow to get through? Both allow green to get through. Cool with that? What about yellow and magenta? Both allow red to get through. Now you might say, that looks orange. That's just in comparison. If you just saw this, you'd be like, yeah, that looks red. Okay? What about cyan and magenta? Both allow blue to get through. Now you might like, oh, that looks purple. Well, that looks kind of blue. That looks pretty blue. It's just comparison. Okay? Now, what happens when we have all three? What would all three allow to get through? All three together, nothing gets through because there's not one color that all three of them share. Good with that? Okay. So, pigments, right. So, when you're adding lights, they become white. When you're subtracting colors, you get black. That makes sense? So paint and filters go hand in hand. um, so we just use different verbs. Filters makes
I had a question. Kind of, it just, oh, sorry, this made me think of like when you like go to maybe have like 3D glasses, how like one's like red and one's blue. Like, how does that like work? I guess, or like how does that like affect?
beautiful question.
That?
We will get to that next week.
Okay.
Great question. All right. So paints reflect colors that are seen and absorb what's not seen. Filters allow colors to pass through what is seen and filters out colors that are not seen. But they have the same idea, we're just swapping out verbs. Okay? If you see something that is red, what is being reflected? Red's being reflected. What colors are being absorbed? Green and blue. You good with that? Or at least your red cones are being fired, green and blue aren't. Okay? What color is being reflected on something that's yellow? Green and red. Okay, yellow is being reflected. Our cones that are firing are green and red cones. Okay, what's being absorbed? Blue. Okay, white. What's being reflected? Everything. All three cones are firing, red, green, and blue. Okay, what colors are being absorbed? None. They're all being reflected. Okay, this is why a white t-shirt on a hot sunny day feels cooler than a black t-shirt. Black absorbs it all. White reflects it all. Good with that? Okay. So magenta paint reflects what colors? What primary colors? Blue and red. And absorbs what color? Green. Cyan reflects blue and green and absorbs red. And magenta. So what would happen if you mix those two paints, magenta and cyan? What's reflected is what they both reflect. So magenta and cyan both reflect blue. So you're going to get blue color after you mix magenta paint and cyan paint. Okay? So what would happen if you mixed magenta and yellow? They both reflect, magenta reflects blue and red, yellow reflects green and red. They both reflect red. So you see red, a red color paint. Cyan and yellow. Are both going to see green. You see how the paint and the filters work hand in hand? Okay, this is going to blow some minds here. The primary colors of primary colors of light are red, green, and blue. The primary colors of paint are not red, yellow, and blue. They are actually magenta, yellow, and cyan. Does that mean my elementary art teacher lied to me? Not intentionally. I don't know why they teach it this way, but like prove it. Like that. Think about the last time you loaded a color ink cartridge in your printer and hit test print. to align the ink heads. It spits out, yeah, red, yellow, and blue. The yellow we're not arguing about, but the red, that kind of seems pinkish. Kind of like, oh, a magenta? Yeah, but blue. That's kind of like a baby blue or a sky blue or like, oh, a cyan. Okay, you cool with that? Like I've got, this is like back in the day, I've got print cartridges that you actually, like a color printer that you had an individual, like load these up. Magenta, yellow, cyan. If you go to a print factory, like magazine, print, whatever, there are 4 ink cartridges. Magenta, yellow, cyan, and black. Crazy. Okay, cool with that? All right, so here come the lights. So it'd be really cool if I could like hit a button and turn all these lights red. Because what happens, like we're used to seeing white light as the source, but what would happen if it was just one color? So I could take the time and like load like tissue paper in all the lights. That'd be a lot of work. Or I could just pass out red filter paper to y'all and you put it in front of your eyes and it has the same effect. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so put that in front of your eyes. This is what the world would look like if it was just red light coming. Okay, as you look at stuff, look out the window. That looks interesting. Okay, now as you look at things that are red, they look red. As you look at things that are yellow, they your brain says yellow. It's not. It's still red. If you look at something that's blue, it looks, I'm going to say black. Yep. Okay, if you look at things that are green, like a darker green, looks black. Okay, here's my argument. You're like, no, it doesn't. If you look at this white piece of paper, what does it look like? It looks, you say white. I'm going to say it looks red. Okay? What do you mean? Your brain just puts it together and says, well, I know that's white, so it looks right white in comparison. But if you looked at this, take your filters down. You said this color is white. Take your filters down. Take your filters down. This is white. This color is red. Does that make sense? Okay. Um, our brain kind of puts things together in comparison. I've got some demonstrations for that. Um, okay. Here's my point. This without the filters. This color here and this color here are identical. This color here without the filter paper, just looking at it straight away. I'm not trying to trick you. This color here and this color here are identical. You say prove it, right? And I say certainly. I'll prove it. I'll take that, cut that, and stick that. What? Dude, seriously?
It's like switching right there when you pass the red, it's switching colors.
Ready? They're both like this ugly mauve color. This square and this square are identical in color. Prove it.
That one makes sense.
You got it. This and this are identical. Shades of gray. Put your finger over the like hold your finger up and like block out the transition piece. Here we go. This one's pretty definitive. Ready?
Wow.
Okay. This one's trippy. A and B are identical shades of gray. This bar right here is a solid gray bar. It is. Ready? Get to that? It's so your brain does crazy stuff in comparison to the background. It's called an optical illusion. All right. Same color, 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 same. Whoa. What? What? Okay. Good with that? All right. If you looked at a green leaf when the room was lit with red light, the leaf would look what? The, the leaf would look theoretically black. Okay. Um, Here's a crazy thought. So plants absorb sunlight, right, for photosynthesis. What color is being reflected? Green is being reflected. What color is being absorbed? What color is being absorbed when you look at a green leaf in sunlight? Red and blue are being absorbed. Yes? Have you seen grow lights recently? The red and blue ones? So grow lights nowadays are red and blue. When you look at a plant under a grow light, it looks dead. It's like, oh man. And then you take the grow light away, and it's like this vibrant, vivacious, full of life, green, healthy, like what? You look dead, alive, dead. Because it's just focusing on the wavelengths, the colors that are being absorbed. that crazy? Okay. Um, if you had, okay, so you had a pair of blue jeans. Okay, you've got like different hues of light bulbs, right? You've got like cool white, which is like more of a bluish, and you've got warm, it's more of a yellowish. Okay, if you had a yellow light bulb viewing blue jeans, the blue jeans would appear what? Theoretically black. I have a pair of navy blue pants, the dark navy blue. When I view them in a warm light in the closet, they look black. Like I've put them on thinking they were black, walked out in the sunlight, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I had a label on the tag navy blue because when I look at it in light, I'm like, I know these are navy blue, but they look black. I can't see it until I walked out into something that had some blue light in there. Cool as that? Okay. That's the physics show today, kids.